Hi, my name is Holly. I am excited to be with you today here, and we are going to share some of my favorite resources. So the one that I want to show you, I am going to share by hitting screen share. So give me a moment here. I am showing you, hopefully, this, a website that's through the Tarrant County Department of Health. Okay, so if you go in and just Google tarrantcounty.com, this will pull up, and we have a relationship with the Department of Health with Tarrant County, and so I thought they would be a great resource for you to know about. There are all sorts of different things that you can find out on this website. The one that I really wanted to touch on is first looking at their front page. You can see how they've got all these different family health services. Okay, so that's actually where I'm at right now. If we go to just the home screen, then it looks something like this. So if you scroll through, you'll see all sorts of things, but when I go over to community health, which I know I can find. Let's just go back this way. All right, I got in there. I don't exactly know how I got there, but I went to public health, okay? From there, if you go to family health services, which is right here, you can see they've got all sorts of programs that I really wanted to touch base on, specifically on the diabetes that portion of their program. The reason being is here at the Y, we have a diabetes prevention program. Ours is a diabetes prevention program. However, we are working on creating, some extra help for people who already have diabetes. But at the moment, we just want to connect you with this resource. So if you click on diabetes, this can give a little extra help. Okay, so as we look through, really looking over on the left side, you can kind of look at it and just understand what diabetes is. The first one I want to show you is a number that comes up a lot when I'm talking to people about the diabetes prevention program, and that is your A1C number. What that is, it's a test, okay? It can identify prediabetes, which raises your risk for diabetes, okay? Of course, the big picture is you want to know what that number is. So, of course, the first question is, what is it, okay? The blood test, it gives you results that gives you a picture of your average blood sugar level over the past 2 or 3 months. So the glucose test that you take, that's for that particular day. The A1C is going to give a bigger picture, all right? So when we scroll down a little further, it helps us to understand what these numbers mean, all right? If we are without diabetes and not diabetic, not pre-diabetic, not diabetic, we're looking at having an A1C number of 5.6 or lower, all right? That's what our goal is for normal range. When we move into a zone of 5.7 to 6.4 or 6.5, actually 6.4 is what we count as, from 5.7 to 6.4 is what we look at as having pre-diabetic, or in the pre-diabetes range. Once we hit 6.5 or higher, that's considered the diabetic range. With that 6.5 that's where we're hitting diabetes, all right? So if a person is diabetic, so let's say we've hit this, all right? The goal for most adults with diabetes is to have an A1C that's less than 7%. So what we want to talk about is, kind of what does that mean, all right? That has to do with, discovering what the glucose is, what the sugar is, so to speak, in your blood. Another term that you might bump into that your doctor might be talking about is an EAG, All right, so what you can do is kind of talk to your doctor, ask what your A1C number is. Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. So your best bet is to, when you go in for your checkup and they're doing the blood draw, ask them if they're going to take the A1C. And if they say no, then ask them if they can do that and include that as part of the reading for you. And then as you're looking through, another thing that I want you to know about is that when we're talking about diabetes and the blood sugar and all that kind of a thing, one handy tool that I like to share is that when we're talking about the viscosity of the blood, that's how sticky the blood is. So in a healthy person with that blood sugar, the A1C being below 5.7, the blood flow is good. It's able to move through the body, which in going through the body, that allows it to carry nutrients, and so importantly, it carries the oxygen throughout the whole body. Oxygen is what brings that health to each space in your body. Now, if your A1C, the higher it goes, the viscosity of it, the thickness, the stickiness of that blood, it gets thicker and thicker. It can get as thick as soy sauce. It can get as thick as molasses. It can get as thick as applesauce. It can get as thick as paste. All right. When you think about blood going through your veins, and that blood is, let's say, as thick as molasses, that's really, really hard on your heart, number one, because it's trying to do that work of getting that blood around the body. But also, it really explains why in diabetes, one of the complications is, having trouble with vision, because it's really hard for the blood to get into those little itty bitty eye vessels and capillaries in order to bring oxygen to the eyes. And when they don't get oxygen, they lose that ability to function. Also, the feet, getting that blood through into the feet. When it's thick, it just has a hard time making its way in there. So we want to do everything that we can to keep an eye on those numbers so that as they start to rise, or if they start to rise, we can do something about them. One other thing that you can look at over here, of course, is they give us some tools here to discover if we're at risk. Okay, they've got a risk here. They talk about nutrition, which is wonderful. Talks about, the food hub, the forecast, the meal planning, understanding carbs, understanding food labels. Really, really important to understand those food labels. And then learning how to make healthy choices. Talks a little bit about fitness, which obviously we care a lot about. Talks about your community and the resources that you have within the community. Advocacy. We talk about the research is listed in here. And then if you want to go down here, you can take a test. Yay! I love tests, apparently. So we're going to go ahead and take our risk test and see what that looks like. All right, we can go through. Let me see. Click on that. And it was here a short minute ago. You know what? Oh, there we go. So it's a 60-second type 2 diabetes risk test. And you can take it for yourself or for a loved one. And as usual, we're always going to, say, oh, it's for someone else, right? So when you go through here, it's going to ask some really simple questions. How old are you? If you're male or female. And then what's really nice, it also gives you this little note here. Why does it matter? And you can click on that. And it shows, well, that's why they're asking that question. On this particular one, men are more likely than women to have undiagnosed diabetes. One reason may be they're less likely to see their doctor regularly. So all of us need to get in there and visit that doctor. And then, of course, it's going to ask our family history. Why does that matter? Because our history, our genetics, they do play a role. Whoops. Let me see. Have you been diagnosed with high blood pressure? Why does that matter? that actually plays a role, okay? So if we go through, are you physically active? And then they're going to ask you, they are going to ask the ethnicity and race, and then they're going to tell you why it matters. Because certain racial and ethnic groups are more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than others. I love that it educates us along the way. And then, of course, we're going to say height and weight and all those sorts of wonderful things. So, which it doesn't make us enter all the details. It just makes us say the general range. Okay, and then it will email you your results, or it'll just give you your results right here on the screen. So at any rate, in going through that, I just wanted to make sure that you know that it's there and you can take that assessment. If you want to learn more about diabetes, you know, the different types of diabetes, you can understand type 1, which is very, very different than type 2. And then, of course, looking through and understanding gestational diabetes as well. So I really just wanted you to know that this is out here, this is available for you. Our YMCA is working more and more with organizations in the community that would include the Tarrant County Department of Health. And in the meantime, until we have an actual diabetes program, an educator program in-house, we want you to know that that's available through the Tarrant County Department of Health. So, and I don't know if you noticed, but the health department has resources, and one of the resources that they send us to would be the American Diabetes Association. All right, so simple fix there. All the resources are fantastic. If you have questions, let us know. We want to communicate with you and help you get connected to the right resources inside the community. And we care about you, and we're glad that you are checking out these videos, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks.